Guys, and welcome to today's call. I'm actually a little bit different today. As you'll see already, the screen is already probably split in half on your end. I hope you can see this loud and clear as well. I've actually got the privilege and honour to actually be interviewing Mr. Brandon Ivy today. I'm actually in Moscow at the moment. Although it's sunny, it's not that warm here. So and Brandon's obviously over there in California. So we're 10 hours time difference ahead. So we've been trying to schedule this for us to kind of be able to work this out. But yeah, I actually heard about Brandon going back probably about 18 months ago or so now. I actually got a call from Michael. I was with my dad at the time and he said, "Are you with your dad?" And I said, yeah, I'm with my dad. He said, "Right, put it on loudspeaker. I need to tell you something." So he told me a few different information. He said, "You've got to check out this guy, Mr. Brandon Ivy." So we were like, "All right, cool name, like the name." So what do? We all go on Facebook, we all go on Google, we all go on YouTube. We do our stalker moments. And one thing that really stood out was we went on YouTube and straight away we just loved Brandon's voice. Some of the videos he had done, we were just listening for hours upon hours upon hours of the videos, and the quality of the content as well as the way he delivers it was just phenomenal. So I've had the chance to actually travel the world, really. I've been to Las Vegas with Brandon. I've been to Miami with Brandon. I've been to Jamaica with Brandon, Cayman Islands. We went snorkeling together in the Cayman Islands. And that's all from just basically 18 months of being in contact. It's important to know as well, we're not in the same team. We're in the same company, but we're not in the same team. However, we have a great relationship. We're both part of the leadership group as well. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Brandon. I'm going to run through a quick few questions, Brandon, if that's all right. So yeah, just obviously the first question is really, what did you actually do before Shopping Sherlock?
Well, that's actually a two-parter. You know, Fraser, I never heard that story before. You guys looked me up.
Oh yeah, I still do.
Well, before Sherlock, it's a two-part question for me because I did everything I was told to do by having a good future, meaning I got to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and I did that and was laid off from my job twice and realized that corporate America is not going to be the future for me. Even though I had a degree, it just wasn't guaranteed. There was no security there, so I was looking at joining a home-based business. So when I did join network marketing, it was right out of college. I was a senior at Morehouse College, and I failed my first 10 years in network marketing. Didn't have much success, but I also never gave up. And those first 10 years taught me everything that I know now about business, about marketing, about relationships. That is invaluable. It's priceless. So even though I didn't make that much money during that time, I learned valuable and priceless information that is helping us to succeed today. In the last 6 years, I've had tremendous success. I was able to retire and walk off my job at the age of 36 years old. The last company I was the #1 producer in, made the top 3,000 money earners in the world list, and I had tremendous success. And then now we're here with Sherlock, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that brings me on to the next question of what actually made you get involved in Shopping Sherlock?
Well, that's an interesting way. It wasn't the traditional. I didn't have anybody approach me and say, "Hey, you need to take a look at this business." I was actually at a company convention in Houston, Texas, and while there, the owners pulled me aside and said, "Well, we've got some good and bad news." That's never a good way to start a convention. Flying all the way down there, that was my #1 source of income. I didn't have a full-time job. I was self-sufficient, and they said, "Well, we are selling the company to a company called Shopping Sherlock. They're based right out of your backyard, right in Los Angeles." Now, I was scared at first because I've been a veteran in this industry, and I never heard of Shopping Sherlock, and it's right in my own backyard, and I didn't hear about it, and so I was real nervous at the time, and I had a decision to make. Was I going to stick with Shopping Sherlock, as the transition took place, or go ahead and entertain offers from other companies and move on to a different route? And I had a chance to sit down with the CEO. He shared the vision of the company with me, and my mind just exploded when he was telling me about this stuff, e-commerce. And I said, this is exactly what I'm looking for long term. And the first thing I did, I went back to my hotel room and I pulled up a video. I typed in Shopping Sherlock. I pulled up a video and it was Simon Brooks, your dad, sitting on a couch. And he basically, it was a 9-minute video. He shared his, actually, no, 4.5-minute video, shared his story. And he talked about the industry. And then he said $20,000 a week. And that got my attention. And that video is really what made me have the decision that I'm staying with Shopping Sherlock.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember actually shooting that video on my iPhone like this, shaking, and thinking, Dad, I hope this comes out well. And it's good that it's been seen by millions. So that's an awesome story. But I mean, how is it so far? How has it made a difference in your life?
Well, one, it opened my mind because I'd never heard of e-commerce before.
Yeah.
And this industry is growing so rapidly, from $55 billion in 2002 to a $5 trillion by 2018. It's moving so fast that we in the field, we can't even see it coming. It's like watching you're standing on the side of a road and watching a Lamborghini going 200 miles per hour, and after it passes you, and then someone asks you to describe the car. Well, it went by so fast, I didn't have a chance to see it. That's what's happening in our industry right now. So it opened my mind to start doing some research about e-commerce and how huge this opportunity is, not only worldwide, but for us as a company and as an individual. Since we're so new, we're 3 years old, I have an opportunity to help build something from the ground up. Now, I used to be in a company called ACN, and I got started 5-6 years after it got started. And I always heard the stories of the people who got started back in 1993, 1994, 95, what they went through, the struggles they went through. But the reward 5 years later, they were all millionaires, every single one of them. And they did a famous documentary about their transition over the past 5 years. And I said, you know, if I got started when they did, I'd be successful too. Well, we have that opportunity right now where we are where they are back in 1993, and we have no competition. We're at the cutting edge of technology. We're at the cutting edge of trends of people doing something different. And here's something that I love to say. One of my team members in Florida says, you know, everybody's used to hearing the pitch, how would you like to make money on the internet? But what I like is when they say, how would you like to make money with your phone? What? With your phone? I've never heard of that before. Now, a lot of people may not understand it because I didn't at first, but at least I'm here to tell that story and share it with a lot of people. So I'm excited about where we are with this company and where we're going to be the next 10, 20 years from now.
See, guys, I hope you can understand and appreciate why me and my dad got excited when we started watching the videos, because he's such a passionate and clear person to listen to and to speak to. It's a privilege, Brandon. So what's been, because the product, obviously everyone knows Shopping Sherlock product is phenomenal. The people that are looking in that aren't involved in the company, obviously, they've heard about, maybe they've heard about the product, but what's been your best product saving story so far?
Well, this is an interesting one. I was having a debate. I have a buddy of mine. He makes $1 million a year in a health and wellness, weight loss company. And he was debating with me, why did I join a technology type company? And he tried to tell me, well, technology is always changing. It's rapidly changing. He said, you yourself said on a post that Sherlock isn't what it is today from when you got started. I said, that's true, but the fundamental philosophy of Sherlock is the same. We help people save money on items that they're going to buy anyway. And because of what we do, we're perfectly positioned to ride the wave of technology as it changes. We didn't have the mobile app when I signed up in the business. Today we have the mobile app. Tomorrow it may be a different platform, but the basic core of what we do with Shopping Sherlock will never change. We'll always be able to adapt. So he said, but why not a product-based company? He said, everybody in the world wants to lose weight, especially in America. And I said, here's the problem with this. The product is great, but why am I going to pay $130 for your product from you when I can go on the internet and get it for $50? And see, that's the main problem that you're all going to have. When the rest of the public finally figure it out, that they can get your product online, you're in a world of hurt. You're going to end up like Blockbuster. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can't federal government tried and failed. They've been trying to tax the internet for 20 years. So he finally said, you know what? Let me try your service. So he had just bought a brand new mansion cash and had wanted to get a flat screen curved 78-inch smart TV. And the regular price is over $10,000. He did his own search. Took him 2 hours online. He said he could find the best deal. He found it for $89.99. So he was like, I'm getting it for $2,000 off. I Sherlocked it within 5 seconds. I found the same exact TV for $3,479. Over $5,000 savings. Now, this was 2 weeks before we went on vacation to Jamaica. So he saved $5,000. And one thing about wealthy people, it doesn't matter how much money you have, $5,000 is $5,000 savings. So he said something funny. He was like, wow, I just made $5,000 with your company. I'm not even in the company. I said, now do you see my point?
Exactly.
He says, yeah, you're onto something because I needed to buy that TV anyway. I need to buy things anyway. So I might as well save money doing so on a product that was free. I didn't have to sign up with your company to use it. And that was another point. If I want good discounts on his products, I have to become a rep in his company. But if you want the best deals with Sherlock, you don't have to join our company to do so. Just Sherlock. You can download the app for free. So that's so far, my best product saving story up to date.
That's awesome. And you know what? You'll get even better ones as well. I mean, I've heard of people saving money on cars, caravans, sheds, and then even like flip-flops, all sorts. It's just phenomenal. And we're already just getting started as well. I mean, the mobile app's not even a year old. So that's awesome. That my next question actually was going to be...
One second, I got to add one more thing to that. There's a woman named Joy Lisa. Her son made my favorite video now. He's 9 years old. He's in the store, wanted some game called Fibber. He pulled out the Sherlock app, scanned the price, and found a savings on it, and he was blown away by that. So I say, if a 9-year-old can figure this thing out, then anybody can. So, one thing too. I have a 7-year-old son. You know what he tells me? He's always asking for stuff. And anytime I say no, you know what he ends it with? Just Sherlock it, Daddy. So he thinks it's a money issue why I say no. Just Sherlock it. You're saving money. What am I supposed to say to that?
Well, I mean, as well, obviously you've met Alan Platt and his wonderful family. And you'll see it on another interview. But, I mean, his kids as well. What do you want for Christmas? And then, it's money because I know I can get much more using the Sherlock. So it's interesting. My next question, actually, there's kind of pointless going over it because you've just basically nailed it anyway, was what would you actually say to someone looking at Sherlock? But you've kind of you already mentioned about the timing, the quality of leadership, the product and how it's going to benefit as well. So I suppose the next one would be, obviously, what are the Sherlock events like, especially the major ones? Obviously, we do a lot over here in the UK. You do your own ones in the US. But what are the major ones like, the ones you've been to so far?
Well, they're great, and that's the one thing about this industry. We build our business and our company from events to event, because this is relationship marketing. It's a people business, and you got to get belly to belly, face to face, down to the trenches with people. When you're on the computer, there's no intimate connection there. They're just a voice or a screen name on the other side of the world. But when you go to an event, you meet somebody's family, you meet their wife, you meet their kids and why they're doing what they're doing, the sacrifice that they made to actually be there. You know that we have a common bond no matter what our race, religion, or background is. We are all in this together for a common goal, and we're wrapping our arms around each other to help each other every step of the way. So building the culture with our events is fantastic. Like the Vegas event was great, but I got to tell you that event on the cruise just took it to a whole nother level and really opened everybody's eyes to what we're doing and that we're not in this alone. So, since we're worldwide, you're in Moscow right now. I'm in Los Angeles. It's like 11-something at night. Just to know that I'm not by myself out here in LA. I've got partners all over the world that we're building this with and helping each other out. So if you've never been to an event, you've got to be into an event. I'm going to England for the first time in my life this year because of Sherlock. So I'm looking forward to that trip, and so is my wife, and the many events to come in the future.
That's awesome. I mean, I love the events. I mean, I actually make a point to go to every single event I can. Now, it's getting a little bit tricky because of the schedule, because obviously I'm in Thailand, in Moscow, in Kazakhstan, and it's hard to be at every single one at one time. But I make a point not to be sitting at home when there's an event on. I've got to be at one of them. So, yeah, the events are awesome, aren't they? I mean, the culture, the creating, the family is just amazing. And it's interesting to see that some of the distributors that brought their wives or their husbands or their partners, they have now turned around to them and gone, listen, you've got to do this because we've got to be on the next cruise. After them being like, oh, it's now like, you've got to do it. So it's awesome. But I mean, you've obviously met Michael Weeder, the CEO. Tell people, what is he like?
Well, he's the second reason on why I decided to stick with Shopping Sherlock. After watching Simon's video, for me, and being in this industry for so long, you can be doing everything right from the field standpoint. You can be building your business, you can be marketing, and everything going right. But if corporate isn't doing what they're supposed to do, the rug could be yanked from you. And so when I had a chance to sit down with Michael in Houston, one thing I was impressed with at the time was his sacrifice on even being there. Even though it was an investment for him, he could have done that in many different ways without having to be there, because he was going through personal issues in his life with his friend that was very, very sick at the time. So Michael made a detour to come down to Houston to sit down with us, share with us the vision. And one thing I saw, that this is a man of vision. He knows exactly where he wants us to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So that was very important. Another thing was that he's very cautious as well. He's not the type of person to say, I'm going to, just because hype is happening over here, I'm going to duplicate it at the risk of the company. Yeah. I've seen that happen over and over and over again. Another thing that I loved is his knowledge of the industry. Now, I've been in businesses where I know more about the industry than CEOs do. All the CEOs see is a cash cow, a quick way to make a couple $1 million, and they'll learn as they go. Michael has a game plan set. He knows the major players in the industry. He knows what it's going to take, and he has, most important for me, the long-term vision. He's not looking at just the short term. He's a consummate business professional. So he's looking at the long term, to the point where I was sitting there listening to him. I was privileged enough to go to dinner with my wife and him and Dolores when I came back to California. And even though he asked me questions, I was asking him questions and listening at the same time, to a point that this is a person that I could see as being my mentor. And being in my position, I don't say that lightly. There's not a lot of people I would say that about. But knowing what he's accomplished in his career and his life, that's where I want to be at the end. And finally, the fact that he actually cares about the reps and the people in the business. He understands that without the field, there is no company. So he has set up his own leadership council that he asked me to be a part of with yourself, Frazier, and he asked for our input. He doesn't make any major decision without talking to us first. Now, there may be times where it doesn't matter what we say, he's going to make a decision. But at least he gets that feedback from us, so he knows what the repercussions may be of each decision. And he's building this from the field. He talks to us as we are partners. We're co-owners in this endeavor. We're in this together. He knows the leaders' names. He talks to the very last person who's joined the business, and he's approachable. He's not a guy that you're only going to see 4 times a year, and maybe you can run into him at the bathroom. This is the guy you can pick up the phone and contact. And we're going to get so big to a point where there's just not enough time in the day to do so. But the fact that he is in the trenches with us to make this happen, this isn't a hobby. I allowed my dad, and my dad has always been against network marketing in my career choice. But for the very first time, I brought my dad out to meet the CEO of my company. That's how proud I was of the CEO I was working with. And one thing that my dad said was, I could tell this isn't a hobby for him. My dad has been around a lot of millionaires in the past and a lot of businessmen, and you can tell whether this is just a hobby, a side thing going. They've got 15 other projects, and this is just one of them. No, he says, I can tell he's focused on this. So, yeah, he wants this to be $1 billion company. So I have nothing but good things to say about Mr. Weeder. I've personally seen how he's cared and helped for people in the business who have done absolutely nothing to warrant that as far as, their own personal production. So I have nothing but good things to say about him, and I look forward to the next 20 years working with him here.
That's awesome. I mean, there's two things for me as well on top of what you've said is because obviously I look at it from a different. Obviously, you've in your career so far, what's happened to you's happened to you. I never really witnessed any of that because I'm new to the industry. But two things really is when the Filipino natural disaster actually happened a couple of years back. He actually went out of his way and was actively looking for anyone to help out there, because obviously we have a large Filipino organisation, the Shop and Sherlock. He wanted to help them with our charitable side of the business, which is the Pay It Forward program. The other part as well was my dad's always told me about events that he's had in the past when he's had the corporate team come over to the events. He said that be prepared, Fraser. What they'll probably do is they'll probably come on stage, do their bit, then either go to the back of the room and listen in, or go back to their room. And at night time, they'll come, have dinner, go back to the room. Whereas Michael, he was the first one on the dance floor, after dinner, and he was the last one to leave. He made sure he met every single person that came to the event. Fair enough, there might have been 100 people at the leadership event, but he made sure he met every single one and got to know them and let them get to know him as well. So he's great. He's a great CEO, but it feels like also sometimes he's a distributor as well, which is good, and that's why I can see how you say the whole mentor thing as well. So that's awesome. I mean, Sherlock's obviously growing worldwide, but what are you most excited about?
Well, what I'm most excited about, again, is our positioning with the technology and the fact that we are a worldwide business. We are a debt-free company. We've been in profit since our second month in business, so we're not operating based on loans, based on promises, based on hype on what's happened. We've been growing, steadily over the last 3 years, and I've been here for a year and a half now, and we haven't even had huge momentum yet. We haven't even hit momentum yet. So that's exciting, knowing that one thing that Michael said was, we already know 70% of our business is going to come out of Asia in the next 5 years. So instead of us rushing to try to find somebody in those countries, he kind of took a step back and said, let's do this from a smart business standpoint, and we'll look for the right partnerships so that we can go in there and do it the right way. So in the future of this business, since nobody knows who we are, the fact that we're positioned to tell the story of Sherlock. See, this is the first time I've ever had this type of opportunity in my career. I've been a part of companies that have already been established, and there have already a huge leadership before me. But we are the ones that get to chart the course of this journey. And for me, the excitement is not reaching the end goal. I already know what the end goal is. The excitement is getting with Fraser and Manesh and Chuck Williams and our team and building this over the next couple of years. That's the excitement of the journey that I love, the good and the bad. One thing about Michael, he will tell you like it is, whether you want to hear it or not, whether you like it or not. He's kicked me in my butt several times, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to CEOs basically kissing my ass for what I can do for the business. But Michael says you can do so much more if you do this, if you do that. You've got to focus on these areas and not here. I respect that. A lot of people say, they're running off somewhere else because they felt they were disrespected. But no, this is business, and Michael has us on a path that we're going to achieve. I have absolutely no doubt we're going to achieve our goals. It's just a question of us taking the steps to make that happen. So I'm very excited about the future.
Yeah, you share the same sort of excitement as I do. It's as simple as that. It's just where we're heading is just incredible, and the journey so far has just been amazing. My journey is, it's just been life-changing. But yeah, I know that you use YouTube a lot because I know we all over here in Europe especially appreciate what you do, because you're similar to me. You don't close anything you do off, especially online. You're consistently doing trainings, meetings, conferences online and open it up to the whole organization. We're very appreciative of that. So do you, I suppose I've already answered the question, but do you actually use social media to grow your business frontline?
Oh, absolutely. One day when I get on stage, I'll really share my story. But because of different things going on in my life with my family, I'm forced to have to use social media to meet new people. Being in this industry for so long, there's not a person alive who knows my name that doesn't know what I do.
Yeah.
Everybody, family, friends, associates, people I haven't met who know who I am, know that I'm in Shop in Sherlock. They know what I'm doing. So for me to build my business, I've got to meet people that I don't know. And I don't have the ability to just go all the way to the gym all the time or to the mall or to, traditional way of meeting people, being out and about. I'm always closer to home all the time, taking care of my family. So social media allows me to meet people anywhere around the world. Funny, I've had over 40,000 people in my organizations in my career, and I've always had 90% of them have never been within 50 miles of where I live, always outside. And one thing that I learned is, you know what, if you want to have a long-term successful business, especially in network marketing, you got to take advantage of technology and the trends. Mm-hmm. And everybody is moving to social media, so you've got to move your business and your marketing to social media as well to capture those leads. And I'm far from an expert. I'm not the expert at lead generation and capture page and blogging. And I just found one little niche that I'm sort of good at the videos, and I just ran with it, and the rest is history.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely awesome. I mean, I've, as you know, I've taught a lot of people how to use social media and different ways to kind of, get people interested in the business. And it's funny that one of the first people I sponsored using social media and online techniques was Sergey. And the funny thing about that was he lives 8 or 10 miles away from where I live. But as a result of that, we've now got probably close to 10,000 people in the Russian and the Kazakhstan and the Russian and surrounding areas, just from that. So yeah, I'm glad that you're also using it. But I know that that's one of the big things that you do, and it's impressive what you can do. But obviously, you do need to know obviously there's certain small skills of network marketing before you can do it. And otherwise, because there's too many people out there who just go social media without learning the little skills to be able to communicate with people. So that's cool.
Let me back on that real quick, Fraser, because you said something, learning the little skills. A lot of people think that social media is like the genie in the bottle, like it's a cheat code. If I just get on social media, all of a sudden I'm going to be big. Yeah. The only reason why I've been able to be successful with social media is because I've mastered the basics of offline marketing. I mastered how to talk to people, how to build relationships, not about the money. It's about, does that person know that I actually care for them? And once you know the basics, then you can take that into social media and you're just going to explode. You can't skip that part.
Exactly. And you're spot on, absolutely. So if I was to speak, this is a bit of a weird question, but if I was to actually speak to one of your downline, what one thing would you like your downline to say about you?
One thing I'd like them to say is that I'm always available to help them when they need the help. And I teach this all the time. When you wanna always look for the best leader and upline, be the upline that you want to have for yourself. And so I look at what is it that I would look for if I had an upline, and I try to be that. So I want my team members to know Brandon actually cares for them. Brandon cares about how they are in the business and in their personal life, and will always be there to help them along the way, and not turn my back or turn my nose up, because I want to treat the last person who came in as if I'm their personal sponsor. I was just talking to a gentleman today who I signed up last, I think it was January or February, and he did absolutely nothing. And he called me today and said, he's ready to get going. And I said, wait, how many people do you have on your team? He said, nobody. I said, no. I looked at the report, he got like 60 people in this downline. And it's people that I'm working with personally, that's helping build their team. So I just want them to know that I'm always going to be there to help them and build their organization, and I'm never going to leave anybody behind, but I'm also not going to drag anybody as well. If you're willing to learn, and if you're willing to be coachable, you've got my 100% support.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you now, people are already saying that about you anyway, whether they're in the down line, your cross line, or your up line anyway. We all appreciate you, especially over here. Which this is a bit of a strange question as well. Some of these questions are bizarre, but which other Sherlock distributor do you actually think represents the company well?
Well, it might be easy to start naming some of the top leaders, but one guy that I thought, when I thought about it, it really hit me on the cruise is Alan Platt.
Yeah.
Now, Alan is not in my organization. He's not in my downline. We don't benefit immediately. The bigger the company does, we both benefit what we do. And I've only met Alan twice. I met him in Vegas, and I met him on the cruise. But a couple of things about Alan that I like. One, that he puts himself out there to be a presenter.
Yeah. And
as a presenter, you're in a position where people are watching you that you don't even know is watching you. So he's been able to conduct himself in a way that I have never heard any negative things said about Mr. Platt. Number two, he uses the product and he shares the stories of using the product. I don't think there's anybody who uses the daily deals more than Alan does. It takes his family, and I hear about those stories all the time. The third thing is the leadership side of this. He's looking at this company long term. He's not one of those guys that I just want, how much money can I make as fast as possible? And if things don't go right, I'm going to go jump ship somewhere else. Yeah. If he's not happy with something, he's going to voice his opinion to make it better. He's not a complainer. See, anytime, if you've got an issue with anything, come up with a solution. And he always has a solution to whatever issue he may see that's on the horizon. The last thing is he's a family man.
Yeah.
When we go on our conventions, he takes his family with him. He took his family to Vegas, and I met them for the first time there. So now he's got his kids from England. They get to growing up. They get to have that memory of flying all the way to the United States, to Las Vegas, seeing the lights and all that stuff, Hoover Dam. And then he flew them all to Miami, got on the cruise, and I talked to him one night at dinner. I think it was right after Jamaica. And his son was telling me about the Dolphins. And one thing he said, this was the greatest day of my life. Mm-hmm. Now, being a dad, my youngest is 7 years old. Being a dad, that touched me.
Yeah, it touched
me.
Because
I remember you grew up with your dad. Your dad is a legend in the industry. He's taking you on things. You've been able to see things and traveling around the world. So I remember when I have vivid memories being 6, 7, 8 of my dad doing things with me, that's company, and I remember it like yesterday. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I remember something from 30 years ago. Yeah. This is an event that his sons will never forget. And Sherlock allowed that happen, and he shared it with his family by bringing them out with them so that they could see what it is he's doing, and they see what Dad is doing for the family, for the future, and the legacy he's leaving for them. So when I look at wanting to emulate somebody as well, because I'm married, I have kids, I'm looking at this long term, we relate, even though we're from opposite sides of the world and haven't had a chance to really sit down and get to know each other. But I've been watching him from afar, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, he's he's just an incredible person. I mean, there's no one else like Alan in that regard. I mean, I would never in a million years have imagined, even after 10 years involved in network marketing, of having someone in my team like Alan Platt. What stands out for me is he will not quit or finish until he becomes the top of that industry. For instance, he's already become a top architect. Not many people know that. He's become like 5th Dan martial arts. It might even be more than that. 5th Dan martial arts black belt. Come on. He's being a top property expert as well, and obviously he's one of the top leaders in network marketing. I think I've probably missed something off there as well. I'm sure there's something else he's done as well. So Alan Platt's great, and I'm sure he'll appreciate you saying that. But he's an incredible individual. The next question is a 2-part question, because I know you're like me, you think long term, but what are your plans and your goals for the next, say, 12 months and then the next 5 years?
That's good. I accomplished one goal of being able to be full-time and work from home. And I wanted to do that. Actually, my goal was to do that before I was 35. That didn't happen. But I was able to do it by the time I was 36. The next goal, especially in shopping Sherlock over the next 12 months, is to hit diamond position. I'm not used to not being at the top of the company. For the last 6 years, I've always been at the top of the company. And so this has been one of probably my biggest challenges in my network marketing career, and one that I accept. So over the next 12 months, I'm going to be a diamond with this company. Then when I look further down, 5 years from now, I'm looking at being a millionaire with this company 5 years from now. And then 10 years from now, building upon that. And 20 years from now, building upon that, having a legacy for my kids. I'm looking at my son. Well, my oldest is 16 years old. So I see him getting into Sherlock. My youngest is 7. He's already doing Sherlock right now. So I can't wait to be able to see. I've seen the father and son, or father and daughter, or mother and daughter relationships in network marketing, and always wish that I could have that. You know, my father never wanted to be involved in this industry, and back when I was 21 years old, I wish he did with me. But he's very successful in his own right and followed his own path. So I followed my own path, and I saw gentlemen like Robert Hollis and his son, Robert Hollis Jr., the gentleman who introduced me to network marketing, Robert Brown Jr., his father, who has been in network marketing for 40 years, Robert Brown, who passed away a couple years ago, and always seeing that dynamic, looking at Simon Brooks and Fraser Brooks. So the next 20 years is about legacy. The next 10 years is legacy for family. 10 years is legacy for this company. 5 years is millionaire status. 12 months is diamond. So that's my future goals.
That's awesome. You got similar goals to me. I mean, I'll just give you a little bit of a pre-warning when your sons get involved, when they're working with you. Expect them to be like me and find it very hard to listen to you in the beginning. Obviously it's difficult, but just let them know that it's worth their while listening to you, because it's if I hadn't listened to my dad, I would not be where I am now. So with that, we'll move on to the last question. I know a lot of people will be watching this that aren't in Shop in Sherlock, because they're just intrigued to obviously get to know you and me a little bit better. But what one thing would you actually say to all affiliates in Shop in Sherlock watching this video?
Here's what I would say to them, especially at this point in time in our company's history, is to focus on the goal and not the task. And what do I mean by that is that we have an ultimate goal of building a legacy dynasty company to the next billion-dollar level. And every company has different phases of growth. We are still at that formulation phase at the very beginning. In fact, even though we've been successful, we're still getting everything that we want to the point that we want it to be at before we really go into that concentration phase. Mm-hmm. So this is the phase that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people. And if they don't have the belief, they don't have their why, they don't have their goals into place, the moment something doesn't go the way they want it to go, they're going to lose sight and jump ship and go somewhere else. And that's going to be the biggest mistake they're going to make. And the problem with that is they're going to have guys, they know guys like Fraser, they know myself, who's never going to give up. And can you imagine living with yourself if you turned down, didn't fight through the trials and tribulations, and because you thought it was too hard, because somebody said no to you about downloading an app, or somebody said no to you about $249, you decided to go somewhere else. 3 years from now, if Fraser's making $200,000 on a monthly basis, and you could have been in that organization. I have people on my team right now I kind of shake my head to. I'm like, do you not realize that one gentleman that quit, and after he quit, 400 people joined his team, his organization, the day after he quit. So I would say, if you're an affiliate with our company, get a hold of the vision. Listen to the Simon Brooks. Listen to Chuck Williams. Listen to Fraser. Listen to Michael Weeder. Where were the companies going? Picture you being a part of that company. See, my ultimate goal is to represent 50% of Shop in Sherlock. I'm already looking years down the road. Do I represent 50% now? Of course not. Far from it. But I'm looking at what the long-term goal is going to be, and I know it's a process to get there and enjoy the ride. So focus on the goal. The task and stuff will take care of itself in its own due course.
That's awesome. And guys, I want you to know that this was planned. It wasn't kind of all written out or scripted out. This is all, as you can already tell by the tonality in Brandon's voice, it's all from the heart. You can see his belief, his passion, his excitement in the company. And Brandon, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I really appreciate it. I mean, guys, if you've happened to stumble across this video and you've already been speaking to Brandon, then know from me that you're in good hands, you're in safe hands, and you're going to be in a very profitable and lucrative hands as well. He's a great guy, great person to work with. And, you know, it's great to learn from him as well. I've learned loads of stuff today already. So, Brandon, thank you very, very much. I'm sure everyone in the team's going to be appreciating this as well. So, thanks again. And I'll give you a little camera handshake here. There you go.
Before you let me go, I got to say this. I got to give it back to Frazier. Frazier is a young man that I've been watching. In fact, I heard about Frazier before I was even in Shopping Sherlock. And being young, you know, he's 27 years old. He's light years ahead of where I was when I was 27, and I had, I think, about 5 years experience in the industry at that time. And so Frazier is a gentleman. You guys are looking at him now, but I'm already looking at where he's going to be 10 years from now. This is a legend in the making that's being groomed by a legend already in our industry who's already living the Sherlock life. So a lot of times, you know, as a Frazier, is people are watching everything that you do right now. So I would say, young man, continue doing what you're doing. You are a good ambassador for Sherlock, for all of us around the world. You're leading by example. I did a presentation tonight with a whole bunch of young guys from Florida between the ages of 19 and 24. They all see you. They see what you're doing. Awesome. They want a Russian girlfriend as well now. And they want to live the Frazier lifestyle. So congratulations on the success you're doing. And I'm looking forward to building this company with you, and it's my honor knowing you at this stage in your career and where you're going to be 10, 15 years from now.
I appreciate that, Brandon. Really, really do. And again, thanks for having you on. It's been a pleasure. Been a real pleasure. So again, thanks again. And guys, I'll speak to you on the next one. There's going to be more of these interviews, so keep an eye out. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some value. Hope you got some appreciation. And just know, as Brandon says, get excited about the goal and not the task. But let's go to work and get stuff done. All right. See you now. Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody.
Cheers.